Professional floor covering, we've got the best brands and styles for every project. Whether you're looking for cabinets, blinds, flooring, or more, we're here to make your home look amazing. Check out our showroom to explore our wide range of luxury vinyl plank flooring. Need a bathroom makeover? We've got custom marble and ceramic showers and
All right, we are so back. We are back on Daily Dodge TV, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and the ESPN Wisconsin app. We can check off all the boxes now as the Dam Sports Show comes to you live from Sun Prairie. Jason got me saying Sun Prairie. Sauk Prairie. Beaver Dam football will be kicking off here in about 2.5 hours, give or take, and we're very excited to cover that. But first, we do the Dam Sports Show here to preview the preview of the main performance tonight, which is going to be Wade Bates, Tim Ladrin, Wally Lukashinsky here with you ahead of that football game. And during that football game, if you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things sports cards, make sure you head on over to our friends at Real Sports Cards in Waupun. You can also check out the Real Sports Cards app if you're into sports cards, Pokemon cards, anything in between. You want to go get a new Micah Parsons sports card with him wearing the Packers jersey, the whiteouts from yesterday, you can go and do that. With live break streaming right on the app, you can grab individual cards on the go, be a part of a group, and watch for your favorite players and teams as the packs get opened in real time. Go to the Apple or Google Play Store today, look for the orange logo, and take your collection to the next level with Real Sports Cards. They are your local resource for all things sports cards, Pokemon cards, and more. I feel discombobulated. I'll actually intro the show now. Corey Sparks, Wally Lukashinsky here with you live on site. Jack Wilsky's back at the 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam station, literally being our only source of getting us on the air. So huge shout out to Jack as I was figuring out our YouTube stream here. But we're live everywhere now, and you heard the jump around bumper. That means the Badgers play football very soon, in this case tomorrow, against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We'll go X factors if you believe they're going to win. If you don't, whatever you think the score is going to be, you can call in at 920-887-9595. I'm very curious on predictions for this week because I've seen everything. I've seen slim win. I've seen it's going to be worse than the 42-10 blowout last year, which is bold. A, because the spread's not close to that, and B, because I don't intend on the quarterback going down. I guess you never do, but the backups already had like a game and a half dress rehearsal. So please call in. Please go into the YouTube live chat and let us know. We'll have that popped up, and we will read your predictions out there as well. And be locked in across ESPN Wisconsin tomorrow for the Wisconsin College Game Day pregame show, the broadcast itself with Matt LePay and Mark Tauscher, and the postgame show with myself and Jesse Nelson tomorrow. Riley Yauka, my co-host, is going to be in Tuscaloosa at the game, so that will be a lot of fun. But Badgers X Factors, we want to hear from you on this as well. Who do you need to see their name called during the game to know, if this guy gets going, fill in the blank here, I think the Badgers have a chance. Wally, I'll hand it off to you.
I think that you can say it for any given week that the quarterback position is going to be an X factor, but I think this is even more pivotal this weekend than any other time that you're going to see this year. Danny O'Neal is going to have a big game because it doesn't sound like Billy Edwards is going to be able to go. He's going to go and he's going to test out the leg. It's not officially ruled out, but it sounds like it's going to be Danny O'Neal, and this is going to be a Herculean ask to say, hey, go with your first road start with this Wisconsin Badgers team into Tuscaloosa against a team this talented as that Crimson Tide side and come out with the win. That's a big ask. But what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to do more than what they've asked him to do so far. He's going to actually have to go out and make plays. He's not just going to be a game manager. If you're asking this Badgers team to actually go out and get a win, he's going to have to make some big-time, high-level throws. And if he's able to do that, maybe the defense is able to get a couple turnovers, a few timely stops, and the Badgers might be able to celebrate on the plane ride home.
Before I give you mine, and building off yours, I want to prelude this. Maybe it means absolutely nothing in 24 hours. Maybe it gains a lot of traction, and we bought in on the stock early. If Danny O'Neal goes out there and this team loses by 3 points or, God forbid, beats Alabama, is it time to have a conversation, to take a phrase out of Jesse Nelson's book when he was referring to Pat Murphy and whether or not we were supposed to maybe question his employment in the future, not now. And now the Brewers have the best record in baseball. Or B, is there no conversation to be had? It's his job because he did so well. Or C, shut up, it's not Billy Edwards' fault that he's hurt, and he'll be fine.
In this specific world, you're saying as if the Badgers win the game.
Yes, if they win the
Badgers
game.
win.
If they, we'll go with that first. If they win the game.
The Badgers win this game, and I'd say it's a 99% chance. This is Danny O'Neal's job going forward. The only chance that it's not, you're talking about like a 7-6 win, that the offense doesn't look good, and somehow Alabama doesn't show up.
Or the defense gets like 2 pick sixes, or we house one, and like the scoreboard looks good, and then you go into the box score tab, and you're like, that wasn't because of what Danny did, is it?
Like 13 of 24 for 83 yards, and
Yeah,
you're like, hey, no. But but if they go out and win, odds are Danny O'Neal had himself a big day, and I don't even think that there is a conversation to be had at that point.
Okay.
I'm closer to say if the Badgers go down there and you lose by 1 possession, that's when you Jesse Nelson this and say, this is time to have a conversation. But that's a big ask. Vegas obviously doesn't expect that to happen. The Desert says 3 touchdown dogs.
Yeah, which is...
That feels disrespectful to me.
It does, but what have they done? Like, I've been impressed through the first couple of games. You're only going to play who's in front of you, so there's the argument there of, okay, it was Miami of Ohio, shut them out, and it was MTSU. First half was horrible. I would argue they played 6 really good quarters of football, especially when you give them the grace of the first couple of quarters with Danny O'Neal in there. The whole Deadpool, did not expect to find myself in this scenario, especially this early on, right? My X factor is going to be somebody who hopefully is catching a lot of footballs from Danny O'Neal, but they might be creative with them. Vinny Anthony, he's the leading receiver on this team right now. You need somebody, if you're going to pull off a 21-point upset or whatever the spread ends up being come kickoff time, you need someone who's going to deliver that first big haymaker. And Vinny Anthony, Tretch Kekahuna, wouldn't be shocked if he did it either. They gave him the ball on a couple double reverses, got creative with him in the backfield. But Vinny Anthony is their traditional home run hitter. He led the team in receiving last year, doing it so far this year. It's been tough for Wisconsin at times to run the ball. That's probably where my biggest worry is. I'm not that worried about Danny O'Neal. I think he's going to be what he's going to be. The pressure is not really on him in a Jeff Grimes offense, which easier said than done. If you're down 14 in the second quarter, you're going to be feeling pressure in Tuscaloosa. The fans are going to make sure of it. But this isn't the Phil Longo air raid offense. He doesn't need to throw the ball 30, 35 times unless the game script dictates that, which it might. But this is not when you're in an even-keeled game and Wisconsin's offense feels like they are in a good spot. If we get to that point in the later phases of the game, it's okay to mix some runs in there. My worry is how productive are those runs going to be? Because if they're not, then Luke Fickell, Jeff Grimes, they have no choice but to go, all right, Danny, it's on you. But if the run game goes well, maybe it's not the runs up the middle because it hasn't been that against Miami of Ohio or Middle Tennessee State. Maybe it's what we saw in the third and fourth quarter, the second half against Middle Tennessee State, where the Badgers realized their traditional plan wasn't working and they started to mix a couple of end-arounds, jet sweeps, double reverses. Tretchka Kahuna, I could see Vinny Anthony with his speed. He has beaten so many different defensive backs through the first couple of weeks on just straight-up go routes. I would love to see him in the backfield with the ball in his hands. I feel like when he has the ball in his hands, you have the best chance of magic happening.
I've got two questions, I guess, for you following up on your answer there. For Vinny Anthony, if the Badgers are to win this game on Saturday, what's Vinny Anthony's stat line look like at the end of it?
In my world, it would be 5 receptions, 125 yards, and at least a score, and then 2 or 3 rushes for like 50 yards.
I like that.
Because then all of a sudden, even if he doesn't get a ton of rushes, now you have to consider him. And now, all of a sudden, Jeff Grimes, it's not the air raid offense, but he's still creative. You're still seeing pre-snap motion. Now, all of a sudden, Vinny Anthony running all over the field. Maybe you have 1.5, 2 guys shadowing him if he has that big home run play. But that needs to happen early. That needs to make it 10-3 Wisconsin going into the second quarter, where Bama's like, oh my, like we have an issue on our hands. It is not the team we played last year. And I think that starts with guys like Vinny.
I'm glad that you mentioned that it has to be 10-3 too, because I think tomorrow for the Badgers to realistically come out with a win, they have to be playing with a lead early. They have to put that doubt, apprehension in that Alabama sideline. And if they're able to jump up early, I think that is a team that we've seen in that Florida State game. They could be looking for an excuse to give up or quit or to just like not be Alabama that we're used to, that we've grown accustomed to over the last however many, 15, 20 years now. But my other question I wanted to ask you, because I love the jet sweep call, because you're going to have to be creative if you are able to run the ball on this Alabama side. For me, I don't know how you physically are able to do it unless you are going a little old school Wisconsin, where there is the fullback, where you have tight ends in there every single time. Because right now, they weren't really moving Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee State running the ball like we would want to.
No.
If that's the case, I think that it's got to be like a 60-70% run plan to actually go out and get a win, and you have to be good doing that.
Yeah, and you want to chew up the clock, and I hope it doesn't get to this point, but you see teams do it all the time when they can't run it up the gut, but they are desperately trying to chew clock, get those easy 4 or 5 yard games, your screen passes turn into your runs. I would not want to see that. I don't need to see little pop passes over to Tretchka Kahuna and Vinny Anthony, and then a defensive back who sheds a block just lights them up. So I hope we don't get to that point, but that's the process I feel like you'd see them go through. They're going to try running it up the middle. If that doesn't work, either their next run is going to be a jet sweep or an end around, or then they run through the pass. And that's not fair to Danny O'Neal. They're easier passes, but again, I think in a perfect world, he doesn't have to throw the football 35, 40 times tomorrow.
Well, it's a Victory Friday. We're happy. The mood is high right now. Let's drink a little Badgers Kool-Aid and go into that idea that tomorrow continues this great weekend and the Badgers get a win. Corey, you posed this question to me earlier, and I want to pose it to both of us now. What do the Badgers have to do? The Badgers tomorrow, they win the game if what happens?
Yeah, I missed this game. We were doing this with the Packers a lot last year. We're going to do Badgers win if, and I'll fill that end in with the defensive line holds up, which that, I would argue, if you're going to pinpoint any part of the Badgers so far this year, that's been their ultimate strength. The defensive line's been amazing. If they put pressure on Ty Simpson, who has 2 starts under his belt, 2 starts. Danny O'Neal's actually the experienced quarterback in this equation. I know you can talk about level of play. He was at SDSU. That's not Bama. But Ty Simpson was Jalen Milroe's backup last year. So he sat, learned a lot. Now he's playing in a big game on a big stage early on in the season, even if Vegas doesn't want to treat the Badgers like that. Make life hard for the backfield. Again, this is all talking about the defensive line. I heard Brad Nortman say this before the Badgers played Alabama last year, before Van Dyke went down, before they were up 3-0, and then Alabama just steamrolled them from them on. That's what it was. He said the Badgers need to play an A-plus game, and Alabama needs to play a C game, and then we win by 3. If that's what needs to happen, Wisconsin needs to hold up their end of the deal. They need to play an A-plus game. What does that look like? Penalty-free football. Maybe not the game we saw last week where they literally didn't get penalized, but keep it under 5. Don't make a whole lot of mistakes. Obviously, easier said than done. And pull out all the stops, like the fake field goals, like the fake punts when you're in a certain part of the field where you're comfortable with taking that risk, like the Vinny Anthony, Tretchka Kahuna double reverse, have somebody throw the ball down the field. I'm excited to see what they do because this is truly a matchup where you have nothing to lose. The entire world is expecting nothing else but to look at that little score bug at the bottom of ESPN around 2:30 and see Alabama 40, Wisconsin 13. They'll need to force a turnover, and again, that starts up front, and the defensive line is going to be that stability. Through 2 games, they've allowed 1.3 yards per carry. That is unbelievably good, no matter what college football team you're going up against. Let's see it be in that 3 to 4 yards per carry range. Again, put the pressure on Ty Simpson. It's all on the defensive line to dictate this game.
Yeah, I like that. Make it a quarterback battle, so to speak. If we're talking about Danny O'Neal having to have the game of his life, let's go out there, put that pressure on Ty, and make him feel uncomfortable early, feel like he has to be throwing the ball a lot. I like that. I guess mine's going to be a little bit more of the old school approach of you have to win the turnover battle by 2 in this game, and you're going to have to win the time of possession by 5-6 minutes. You need to be on the field. You need to shorten the game, limit the amount of possessions that Alabama's offense is going to be out there. If we're making them uncomfortable, in theory, you're talking about getting stops, creating havoc, creating turnovers. If you're able to do that, then yes, you're going to be putting yourself in a position where this turns into a 6-possession ball game. Then it just goes into the trenches. The trenches have to show up tomorrow. They have to be good on both sides of the ball. You mentioned the defensive line. Offensive line, you have to hold up. Danny O'Neal has to be standing this game. He can't be on his back the entire time because we have problems at left tackle. The shift around on the offensive line, it seemed to work against Middle Tennessee State, but it ain't going to be the Blue Raiders that you're playing on Saturday. This is the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I like it. So just in the trenches in general, right? Make life as easy as you possibly can for Danny O'Neal. And on the other end, make life hell for Ty Simpson. Make it very obvious that they're going to be in 3rd and long, pass-obvious scenarios where he has to make a throw. Related to that, before we move on and do our official Beaver Dam football preview a couple of hours out from kickoff, Ryan Williams will play, one of the best wide receivers in the country. He was 17 for the better part of last year. He exploded against Wisconsin, and that was really the beginning of an amazing season. He had 4 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. Now, his college debut, he actually had 2 receptions for 139 yards against 2 touchdowns against Western Kentucky. That was a 63-0 rout. So it was one of those where if you want someone to have a big day, I think you could pretty much just pick them out. But against Wisconsin, 4 for 78. Then the big one. They went up against number 2 Georgia. Bama did. Beat them 41-34. 6 receptions for 177 yards and a touchdown. If he wants to have a big day, if the quarterback's able to get Ryan Williams the ball, he will make you miss in the open field and turn you into the wrong end of a top 10 highlight. So that's the biggest thing, too. He's coming back from a concussion. Looks like he is expected to play. That's been the reports the last couple of days. Again, easier said than done. But if Ricardo Hallman is his shadow, or whoever is on the other side of Ryan Williams, don't let him make the big play. Because then all of a sudden, that's the gut punch for a Wisconsin team that would feel like they had their backs against the wall from the very beginning. If we see Ryan Williams 80-yard touchdown 30 seconds into the game, that's not good news.
No, if you go back and you even dig into the stats for Ryan Williams last year, the very obvious thing that's going to jump out to you is when they lose games, he's taken away. And if he's taken away again and you're asking somebody else to step up in that role, I don't know if you have another young gun, a stud like Ryan Williams, another guy that's going to be – last year there was a talk, Jeremiah Smith with him, who's the best player in college football. And if he goes out there and he reignites that conversation, we're talking about a very long Saturday, and we're going to have a very unfortunate conversation on Monday when we come back here. But if you're even able to limit him to 5 catches, I take that exact same stat line that he threw up last year.
Yeah.
You told me 4 for 78 and a score, I'd do it in a minute.
Yeah, 100%, especially if that's over the course of the game and not the first couple of quarters. But yeah, 2 of the 4 losses. Alabama lost to Oklahoma last year, 24-3. 2 receptions for 37 yards, no score. 19-13 loss. It was in a bowl game against Michigan. 3 receptions for 8 yards. His worst performance of the season. Now, we get that. We're talking about something completely different. I mean, one of the best defenses in the country. If they can contain him, hold Alabama under 30. Defensive line looks amazing, wire to wire. We're feeling really good. Beaver Dam football preview. When we return, we're here at Sauk Prairie. People are going to start trickling in pretty soon. I see the soccer teams wrapping up practice. Before you know it, the guys will throw pads on, get out there. The crowd's going to come to follow. Beautiful night for football here in Wisconsin. Beaver Dam football preview on the other end of the break here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, Daily Dodge TV, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Hey, this is Alex Crogan, head football coach at Watertown High School, and you're listening to 1430 ESPN.
Partner your business with the most famous 4 letters in sports, ESPN.
I literally just
For more
saw it.
information, click on the Contact Us tab at dailydodge.com.
From the Daily Dodge News Center, I'm Terry Bell. Dylan Lenz, the man from Fall River who
This is the Damn Sports Show live from the Sauk Prairie High School football field. 2 hours, 18 minutes from now, it'll be time for kickoff between Beaver Dam football and Sauk Prairie. These two teams crossover opponents between a couple of different conferences. They played each other last year. A little bit of a home and home over 2 different years as Beaver Dam played at, Sauk Prairie played at Beaver Dam last year. Now we are here on the road with them. Beaver Dam football preview starts right now. They're on the road, 1-2, looking to stop a 2-game skid, even things out at 500 apiece. Unique schedule feature, I would say. because most teams are in conference play right now. Actually, a couple of games in by the time action's over tonight. East Central is 6 teams, so you get 5 weeks of true conference play. That starts next week for Beaver Dam. This is the last week of non-conference play, but with the new playoff format, the polls coming out every single week, every single game matters. Not that it didn't before, but it's got a little extra juice to it now. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:45 p.m. on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. We just did Badgers X Factors. Let's do a little prep football X Factors, starting with Beaver Dam.
All right, let's start with that because it's a big running back day. These teams are so balanced. We're talking about teams, they can throw the ball, but their bread and butter is running the football between the tackles, put it in those speedy guys' hands, and I think Parker Blank tonight is going to be asked to do an awful lot for the Golden Beavers. So for him to go out there and show you a little bit more of that Fort Atkinson game, we talked about Menominee Falls. It was wild. He couldn't get his footing because of the turf out there, but last week, even there, you're back on the friendly confines back at Durley Field. They weren't really able to run the ball. As the game went on, they were wearing them down a little bit, but we need to see that for 48 minutes. We need to see that battle in the trenches. So it's almost a pseudo saying offensive line's another X factor too. But Parker Blank, whether it's catching the ball out of the backfield or just getting the ball handed to him right away, he's got to have a big game. And if he's able to have a big game, you're probably talking about a Golden Friday for the Golden Beavers.
I love that a lot. A Golden Friday would mean they're 2-2, back at 500, going into conference play. Feeling really good heading into 5 different East Central Conference opponents. I'm going to go defensive side of the ball, give those guys on offense a little bit of support. Hard not to look at someone who's had a pick 6 in each of the last 2 weeks. Ashton Seifert housed one against Menominee Falls, housed one last week in losing efforts, but both very early on. 2 weird things happened. Great things, but weird things. Ashton Seifert's had a pick 6, and Brock Kiley has housed a 90-plus yard touchdown in special teams in each of the last 2 games. Those 2 guys, those 2 plays, in very similar parts of the game. Extremely weird. I'm not complaining. I would love to see it again. Early Ashton Seifert. You don't have to house it, Ashton, but these have been fun. Seeing him as a lockdown defensive back against a team that likes to throw the ball around. They're averaging almost 190 yards through the air per game. Is Sauk Prairie and their quarterback. So I want to see Ashton Seifert be that lockdown corner we've seen him be through the first couple of games this year.
It is wild when you look back, and we really, really need to take advantage and get a W tonight for Golden Beavers fans because having 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks from the defense and special teams and not having to win the show for it is wild. That does not happen in football at any level. If you're able to dominate those facets of the game, typically you find yourself with a win. But then it's going to also go back to the offense today. When the defense or special teams has an off night, offense is going to have to be able to pick them up very much like the special teams. And Ashton Seifert in that secondary has been able to do for the Golden Beavers offense.
100% agree. Looking over at Sauk Prairie, their X factor, I just mentioned they throw the ball around a lot. I'm going to go with their leading wide receiver, Caleb Brunig. He's on an offense, again, that averages 189 passing yards per game. He's been quarterback Caden Hermsdorf's favorite target so far. I am looking forward to seeing my 2 X Factors, players to watch, if you will, lining up against each other. I am pretty sure we will be seeing Ashton Seifert and Caleb Brunig spending a decent amount of time together on the football field at some point today.
I think you're probably right. And Caden Hermsdorf is going to be my X Factor for the same reason because he's another guy. You talk about a balanced offense. It's a little different. Jackson Ladron doesn't really get asked to run the ball an awful lot. You can't say that for Caden Hermsdorf because he's also the leading rusher on this team. He is very balanced. He hasn't been turning the ball over as a passer, but with how this secondary is for the Golden Beavers, I think you're going to see the ball in his hands a lot, running, whether it be between the tackles, design runs, scrambling. But if the Golden Beavers are able to contain him, that's the recipe for success tonight, is the same way for the Eagles. If Hermsdorf has a big game, it's going to probably be a tough night for that defense in the Golden Beavers.
Beaver Dam, Sauk Prairie, do not miss it. Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. We're simulcasting that one. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:45. Kickoff is at 7 from the beautiful Sauk Prairie High School football field. And you brought up, you could comp it to a college facility. I think if you blindfolded somebody, got them behind the high school and just showed them the field and said, what level is this? You would have some people saying D3, D2 football.
It's D3 college football right now. You look at I even love, too. They have a great thing. You'll be able to see it if you stick around for the call later tonight. They have the shadowed numbers, which I can't place it, but that reminds me of a school, and I can't tell who it is. I wanted to say Fresno State, but I don't think that's what it is. But it's everything.
West Coast is definitely, you're on the right track.
Yeah, there's just something about that, the slanted, faded numbers. Again,
I like
though,
it. It's pretty.
It is. And last year, last thing I'll say about this game is that we are obviously in high school. Every year there's a massive turnover from each side. So it's very important for the Golden Beavers not to rest on their laurels. Remember what happened last year, because this is a very different side in Sauk Prairie too. They've won 2 games against much better teams. Watertown's improved a lot. They beat them just this last week. So it's Baraboo again in the opener, 21-0 or 26-0, excuse me. So this is a good side in the Eagles and Sauk Prairie. So it's got to be a 48-minute game, and we really haven't seen that the last 2 weeks.
Another game to look out for, too. Cambria, Friesland, and Randolph, and get a good look at it. It's the last time you'll see it in a football capacity. Starting next year, they're going to be a co-op, the RCF Patriots. And if you're going to the game, or if you're watching it on Daily Dodge TV, coverage starts at 6:45. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:45. Kickoffs at 7. That is Mike Tronson and Tim Haldeman. Tune in for halftime, especially. They're doing the official logo reveal for the co-op. So that'll be super cool for the RCF Patriots. So those 2 teams, they will be co-op next year. They're going to be locker room neighbors, but today they're rivals, and they've been rivals for a very long time. So looking forward to seeing Mike and Tim on the call for that.
You're a diehard Oshkosh Titan, so I like to imagine this. Like when Whitewater and Oshkosh play in football this year, and you were like, "Hey, we're actually combining forces next year."
I'd say no.
First of all,
not doing it.
These are hated rivals, and they're in the middle of their last rivalry
I'm sure
game.
they'll do it maturely. I'm not a mature person when it comes to that. No.
I don't blame you, because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, during halftime, both sides are going to be like politely clapping and just kind of like staring daggers through the other sideline, and they'll be rooting for each other here in about 9 months.
Yeah, they'll be teammates pretty soon.
They will.
That's
so, I mean,
cool.
it's just a fascinating story. So, yeah, definitely pop on over there if you have time during one of our commercials tonight.
Put the double box on. Just have them both
Double
going.
box.
One monitor here, one monitor there. Get the phone up, get the laptop up. Again, that's on Daily Dodge TV. Beaver Dam football will be in action at the same time against Sauk Prairie, trying to get back to 500, looking for a bounce-back win. Cover 5, Friday picks. When we return, we tell you how to join if you haven't heard of it yet. This is the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
Show talks about your favorite local teams on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. And it's presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun.
Well, this bumper makes a little too much sense. Cover 5 picks. And Wally, after week 1, I think you're down to 3rd now, but after week 1, you were in front of everybody in our Cover 5 picks contest. How do you join this? What is it? Cover 5 is simple. You're going against the spread, and it is by point value. So if the Packers are 2-point favorites, they're giving up 2 points. They won by, 9 yesterday? You'd get 7. You pick 5 of those on the Cover 5 app, which you can download in your app stores today. First thing it's going to ask you for, you'll have a little magnifying glass in the top icon. Click on that and enter BD 2025. Download Cover 5. Enter BD 2025 to join our league today. The best point earner by the end of the year gets a whole, and I mean a whole, Chula Vista Resort package. You're getting dining gift cards. You're getting the opportunity to golf with the complimentary golf carts. You're getting water park passes, $800 value. Grand prize winner gets that. Now, don't worry if you join even in like week 7 or 8. You might be out of the running for that because you do get penalized 5 points for every game you don't pick. So it's 25 points a week. But we have a weekly winner. So if you have the best score any week, you get one of these if you're watching on Daily Dodge TV, an ESPN Beaver Dam hat. So many different reasons to be involved. It's also a lot of fun. There's about 50 of us now, so competition's ramping up.
And you want to be in right now, because if you're like sitting out there, I'll do it next week. Being 50 points down in the red at this point, it's really not that bad. But imagine just jumping in now. If you're only 25 points down, you're less than 50 points off the lead right now. And it just takes one game to change everything. So join us. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get involved.
So Wally and I were doing Friday picks for our first 2 seasons. This is season 3. Instead of just picking straight up, we are playing Cover 5. So we're not going to worry about the point value. But what we will do is say whether or not you won against the spread. So Wally went 4-1 last week. I was 3-2. We can rattle off our 5. We overlap with 2 of them. We have Cleveland, and there was another one. Is it
San Francisco?
So we both have Cleveland plus 10.5. I think you and I are speaking the same language on this one. It's the AFC North, and I'm not going to claim the Browns are great, but that's a lot of points against a team that has Myles Garrett over there, who can usually change a thing or two. And then San Fran, what did you see there?
Oh, well, it's San Francisco. It's more of what you're seeing on the other sideline.
Yeah.
And it's the New Orleans Saints.
Spencer Rattler's yeah, he's off and running.
He's off and running. And the 49ers last week, they played far from a flawless game, and they still found a way to win. And it almost gives you a feeling that the 22-23 49ers could still be in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm betting on that this week. Jake Moody's gone. The bad man's gone away. You don't have to worry about that anymore. He's a pair now, which is crazy to me. But those two, Cleveland and San Francisco, we overlap.
No Brock Purdy for a couple of weeks, but Mac Jones, Jerry Jones, I don't care. The Niners win and they cover on the road. My other 3, we'll go to your other 3 right after that. Bears plus 6.5. Arizona minus 6.5 against Carolina. I think they're going to be fighting with the Saints for worst record by the end of the year. And sorry, but Chargers minus 3.5. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan against your Raiders.
I'd be a big Justin Herbert. I almost did it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But when I went back hometown. I went Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at home against Seattle. I went Jacksonville plus 3.5. It's still September against the Bengals. September Bengals, I don't buy it. And then last but not least, I have Denver, who's a 2.5-point favorite in Indianapolis. I think people are putting too much stock in Daniel Jones and what happened last week against a Miami Dolphins team that's already quit on McDaniel.
Week 1 is weird. Always said it. We'll see what week 2 brings. Tune in tonight on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV for Beaver Dam football, for Cambria Friesland and Randolph football. We're here at Sauk Prairie. We will see you later. Homer Hours coming up next on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.